Nathan, 6 years in a row into at least a preliminary final. Good result for the Claremont Footy Club.
Yeah, it just shows that the hard work behind the scenes and well led at top by obviously coaches and good depth that were in good stead of the club. So.
Last week's result against Lindisfarne, obviously in the game, well into the game up till three-quarter time, but the fell away a little bit in the last quarter.
Yeah, I don't think it's fitness. I think, we just had a few injuries on the day and obviously had a few pull out. We're not making excuses. I mean, we matched them for three quarters. We know we can do it, but, we just got to have better preparation and all that leading up. So,
some of the players coming in, Brownie, this week. Anyone of big note that you want to talk about?
I think you already know who's coming in, Tubes, but obviously our captain Marty, he's back. Scotty Jones and Brayden are back in with our small backman Simon Laddick. So 4 big ins. So I mean they would probably walk into any other team too. So
injury-wise, the rest of the squad is pretty fit.
It's probably the best we've been all year. Like we've had a up and down year compared to previous years, like with injuries and whatnot. But you had them years, and we've battled hard all year, and we've earned our spot here, and we think we're well deserving. So, how
about your form, mate? How's that been?
There's a bit of talk around the club. I only come right out in finals, and they all reckon it's just from me. So I roll with it, and I've had a couple of good weeks, but hopefully go better. So.
And your opposition this week, Huonville Lions, are playing some good footy at the right time of the year. Is there anyone you're going to focus on?
Well, they've got a good core group down there, and they've obviously added a lot of young blokes, a bit of speed. They're a different team than previous years. Like everyone always says, they're like all about hardness and that. But they've got a lot of outside players now too that can just break a game open. Obviously, you got the big fella down forward. We're going to work on him, but through the middle, and they've got a lot of depth, and you can't just focus on one in particular. But it's going to be a good game, and we're looking forward to it.
Playing at North Hobart Oval as well, your club's had a bit of experience here. How do you rate your chances against the footy side at a neutral ground? Well,
there's no better place to play than home footy. North Hobart Oval, this is what you play for. So if you can't get up for these kind of games, then you don't know why you're playing. So, I mean, there's going to be 44 blokes out there tomorrow. If you're going to go missing on days like today, you might as well give up. So this is what you play for.
It's supposed to be a bit wet. Do you think that'll suit you guys? Or I mean, the Lions are from the Valley of Love where it rains pretty much all the time. Do you think that'll suit you or suit them?
Yeah, I was just talking before about it with yous, and the round down there's obviously been underwater, but we've had a few games underwater too, and we've adapted. We think we're good enough to adapt to any situation. So.
It's probably been one of the most even SFL competitions in all time this year. Probably evidence the clash this week. This will be the 4th time. The first 2 were results your way, less than 2 goals. The qualifying final a fortnight ago was all level at three-quarter time. You guys managed to pull away in the last quarter. How do you reckon this week's going to stack up in relation to those past encounters?
Oh, obviously, we're probably going to go in the favourites, but we're not going in there with our being cocksure of ourselves or nothing. They're a good team. We've got to come here, give our 100%. Otherwise, we're going to become copping the arse end of it. So, we hope we're prepared well. I've no doubt they have. So, we're going to come here and just play our best footy, and hopefully it's good enough.
One last one. You're a William Leach medalist yourself. Obviously, you only see Claremont every week in the opposition that you play, but who would your fancy be this year?
I actually just got a phone call before, asked if I was going to go. It's a hard one. I reckon there's going to be a lot of teams with players taking votes off each other, so I'm going to say it's going to come from somewhere different. Maybe like a Signet or somewhere like that. You've got a couple of good players that might just get them votes every week, and that's what you need. You've got a couple of good players in teams that tend to take votes off each other. So,
and that certainly aligns with how even the competition's been, isn't it?
It's fantastic. For them few years, Norfolk dominated, and you didn't really want to show up. You're playing for nothing. But now, each week, it shows throughout the year that teams have been rolling teams, and that's gets people up and about each week. You just don't know what's going to happen. If you play your best footy, you're a chance to play in a grand final. So.
obviously you've had some recruits into the club this year, Potter, Bowden and Nick Clayton. How are they doing as part of the group blending in this year?
Oh, you couldn't have asked the three of them to fit in any better. Like, they're all good blokes, love having a beer, you know, and they get around with the boys all well. Nick Clayton, plenty of finals experience. You know, you would have thought he'd been there for 10 years. Luke Potter, you know, assistant coach, he's got around the boys well. You know, everyone gets on with everyone well. And Tyler Bowden, you know, it's his second stint at the club. Friends of everyone previously, and, you know, he's just a good person to have around the club because he's a good clubman and, you know, gets on with everyone well. So.
Just Gibbo did say that his last question was a minute ago, but he's asked three more after that, Brownie. This is going to be my last question. Lindisfarne are a very strong side. If you can get over the lines, do you think the Claremont Footy Club have got what it takes to beat them on grand final day?
You know, I'm not going to put any fuel to the fire. I'm not worried about next week yet. I'm worried about tomorrow, 2 o'clock. But I wasn't saying if we could do the right things tomorrow, you know, it's going to be good game next weekend at 2 o'clock. So,
all the best, Brownie. Good on you. Thanks for coming in.
No worries.
Brayden, first preliminary final that you would have played in at senior level. How are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, it's obviously really exciting to get out on the North Hobart Oval. I think maybe 95% of the playing group has never made it this far into a senior final series, so I think there's just a real buzz around the club at the moment. Everyone's up and about, and just looking forward to getting out here Saturday and getting into it.
You're playing some good footy at this time of year, Brayden. What do you attribute that to?
I think it's just everything we've been working on throughout the season just coming together. Obviously, there's a patch in the regular season where a couple of games we just didn't bring what we needed to bring to the table, and obviously Lindisfarne and Hobart gave us a bit of a touch-up. But I think, yeah, after a meeting a couple of weeks ago, everyone sort of buying in, and against Dodgers Ferry out there, it was obviously a really good game. They obviously got on top of us early, but then once everything started clicking, I think it started working well, and obviously come back there. And out at Claremont the other week, obviously very tight for the first three quarters, and then obviously Claremont, just a bit of class, been there before, just overrid us. And yeah, last week against Dodgers, it was just, yeah, started well. Obviously we didn't do earlier in the season, and yeah, just a full four-quarter effort, I thought, and that's what got us over the line.
So you did play Claremont a couple of weeks ago. Can you take anything away from that game coming into this game at North Hobart Oval?
I just think it's just not being down for, obviously it's probably a 10-minute patch in that game that cost us, really. So if we can bring, obviously, like I said, four-quarter effort, there's no reason why we can't win tomorrow.
Mickey Paul is back from overseas. He's come back with an extra bit of cabin baggage, we heard. How's he looking coming into the finals?
Yeah, the big fella, he's back, and obviously the last couple of weeks he'll probably say he hasn't been at his best, but hopefully this week he can get back to his best, because obviously everyone knows how big a presence he is, and just having him there, it gets everyone up and about, his speeches, and so now it's good to have him back.
Last week's game against Dodgers, sensational third quarter. How can you replicate that into 4 quarters?
I just think it's just a mental thing, really. Just, I guess, going into half-time last week, I think we were a point down, and obviously Big Mickey gave us a bit of a rev up, just said what he needed to say, and we obviously come out firing, so just need to do that again, and hopefully we can. So.
As you said, 90% of your players haven't played this deep into finals before. Who are the ones that are still there from 2015 besides Mickey Paul?
So we got, I think it's only Tristan Barnett who's the only one that played in that final series. Obviously, Jordan Lovell was there, but last week, unfortunately, he's done his ACL, so yeah, it's very unfortunate for him. So yeah, I think it's just Tristan and Mickey from 2015, so yeah, very new group, but very exciting, looking forward to the challenge.
So with Lovell out, who's coming back in?
So Brodie Dennehy comes back into the side. He missed a couple of weeks with injury, so yeah, he's a good inclusion. He's kicked a few goals this year, so hopefully he can kick a couple more tomorrow. And
the rest of the squad, injury-wise, nothing to report there, or is there a couple of niggles, or are you just pushing through it at this time?
Everyone's looking good. We've had a really good week on the track. Everyone's just keen to get out there, I think, and get into it.
And obviously expecting a big crowd from down the valley to follow the Lions this weekend?
Yeah, there's been a good buzz around the town. I think everyone's really excited. The Lions back in playing finals footy, so when Lions are playing finals footy, everyone down there gets pretty excited. it's a pretty tight-knit community, so hopefully we get a good turnout.
Gibbo mentioned the William Leach medal, which is on Monday night. Do you have any tips across the competition for who's going to poll well? Perhaps a few players from the Lions?
Look, it's probably going to be a close count. Just looking at games throughout the season, I think Allison's polled or got in the best a lot this season, so I expect him to poll very well. Jared Lawler, I think from us, will poll very well. Mickey, obviously, early. Ben Holton, I think, will poll very well. He's normally pretty consistently. So, yeah, but there's a wide range of people who could win it, I think. So.
Have you had any experience out on North Hobart Oval?
I think I've played one game here, so no, not much experience at all, but it's a great ground and I'm looking forward to getting out there.
Are you a bit nervous?
Yeah, very nervous, but obviously nerves mean you care, so yeah.
Good luck for the weekend.
Thank you very much.
This year was probably a year of rebuilding after losing 28 players out of our list last year. We've got 21 first-year players with us. Team of rebuilding. We didn't expect to get as far as we did. A lot of people didn't expect us to get this far either, but I think we possibly got a side that can probably go one better, but anything can happen.
We talked a little bit, Gregg, on the map about a couple of gains that you've had earlier this year, late in the year, that have really bolstered your footy side. Have they managed to get the clearance? Are they playing tomorrow?
Talia is playing, and if we're lucky enough to get through to the grand final, she'll play grand final as well. Andy Smith, we owe big time, but he gave it the green light on Wednesday night to play the rest of the season with us.
That's really good news for your footy club, because I think it gives you a little bit of outside run.
Yeah, she's quick. If the ball gets out to her, she'll take anyone on, and the way she goes. But got to get the ball to her first, and that's up to our midfields, our inside players, to get the ball out.
Is there anyone from last week's game who you're expecting to step up?
This week I expect Paige Flakemore to step up. She had a quiet game compared to her standards last week. We expect her to step up this week. Crystal Kelly again to lift a notch, to step up again. Probably the one that I'm hopeful will be Taylor Stubbs in the centre. She's slowly been building. It's as I've said to her on Sunday after the game, this week's her chance.
You mentioned briefly your finishing position was fifth, and you've knocked over a couple of teams along the way, Lauderdale and Claremont, to get to a pre-final. You had beat Lauderdale during the roster. You hadn't beat Claremont. Obviously, you meet the Suns this week, who you've not beaten either. So what's going to be the key to knock the Suns over?
I think continue on playing as a team. The girls know full aware that they're not going to go anywhere unless they play as a team and play for each other, and that's what we've based it around for the last 8-9 weeks. Playing as a team, playing for each other, wanting to be successful, and when you've got someone like Colin Garland coming along, take training and emphasise to the girls that something special can happen, and they've taken that on board and they've run with it, so it's credit to the actual team.
How important is it, mate, for your footy club to have made the prelim finals to keep those girls together for next year, regardless of whether you win or lose on Saturday, for years to come? Consistency of players throughout the next few years.
To keep this group together for next year is important, basically because we've got no under-17 team from North Hobart Juniors coming through. We have from Sandy Bay, but to keep these girls together for another 12 months, to put the foundations in place for the women's program at North Hobart, we need to work hard to keep them, and hopefully we will. At this stage, about 90% have recommitted already for next year.
The Suns are a quality side. Do you think you've got what it takes to beat them?
Suns are a really good team. You know, you don't win, or just finish on top of the ladder, 1 or 2, only lose one game. They're undefeated up until the last roster match, and that's a wonderful effort by any team. they've got some really good players. You know, you've got Nicole Matthews, you've got Lucy Featherstone in that side that stand out. You've got Stubbs at centre half back. She's another standout player. You know, they've got some really good players in the side that we've got to be wary of where they are, what they're doing, and hopefully man up, match them up, and become successful. But yeah, I think we've got a team that want to play for each other.
One last one from me, Gregg. How have you seen the second year of SFLW?
Second year of SFLW, well, it's improved. The standard's improved at the top. It's harder to win games against probably the top 6 sides. There's not much between 3rd to 6th. The top 2 sides stood out all year. So it's hard in the middle area. Hobart improved at the bottom end at the end of the season. They were improving every game. You could notice that. New Norfolk will improve next year. So, and Port, they'll improve as well. But Claremont and Lauderdale were the surprise packets for the year, and they really improved. I can see the standard going up again next year.
Thanks, Gregg. Good luck for the weekend.
I've got a question.
Thank you.
I'm happy to ask the hard questions.
Yeah.
There's talk of North Hobart going into the TSL next year, Gregg. What are your thoughts on that?
Personally, I don't think we're ready. The club want to go into statewide eventually. I think wait for at least 2 years before we're ready to go up. Personally, I'd like to stay in the SFL for at least another year. The perfect scenario would be a statewide team and an SFL team for the club, but that's not my decision. That's at boardroom level.
So put the handbrake on just for now. Let it settle.
Yeah, I'd let it settle.
Let it
personally.
grow.
And let it grow. Yeah. Our future with juniors coming through is bright, and that's the future of statewide.
The SFLW Women's League Best and Fairest, who's your tip for that?
That's a tough one. There's probably a couple of standout players. The Lindisfarne will probably have, you've got Cara Jeeves kicking a lot of goals. You've got Jodie and Jacinta Mayer over there as well. You go to the Suns, you've got Lucy Featherstone, Nicole Matthews, but I'll probably throw an outsider, Lauderdale's captain, number 2, Claire McManus. Yeah, I'll throw an outsider in there. She played really well at the start of the season, and she was always a driving force when you played against them. So yeah, I'll throw her in for an outside.
Yeah, well, we're pretty privileged to have actually finished second on the ladder. It does give you that second chance option. Beating Claremont was good. It was a little bit of a booster for us. But then going down to Lindisfarne again, obviously in 3 weeks is pretty disheartening, and it's probably played on the girls a little bit. But going into this game against North Hobart, it's going to be really, really good. It's going to be exciting. The girls at the last end of the year for Grubby's group have been fantastic. They've been playing really, really good footy, and they've been actually, as you said before, playing really, really hard and together as a team. And on the weekend, it should be a good fight out, as in good hard slog, because their half-back line's pretty good as well, and pushing off there puts a lot of tact into the midfield. But yeah, it should be interesting, as in very, very interesting. It won't be an easy game, that's for sure.
Grubby mentioned a couple of your players. Nicole Matthews has been great throughout the year. Stubbs has been very good too, and Lucy Featherstone as well. I think he probably missed McPherson through the middle there.
Chantel.
Yeah, she played some good footy on the weekend. What can you tell us about her?
Yeah, Chantel, she's a little pocket rocket. She's 17 years old, which is fantastic. She was 16 last year, and we was lucky to get her away from the juniors. And her skills by foot with left and right is fantastic, and she's quite quick off the mark too. Just need to build a bit more confidence in her to actually take the game on a bit more, and instead of trying to look for an option where she could possibly go herself. But yeah, she's very, very damaging around the ball in the midfield and also in the forward line. She's kicked a few lucky goals for us.
So you played here last week against Lindisfarne, who I felt stopped you at about your half forward line. Have you changed tactics as a coach to try and penetrate further into your forward line?
Yeah, I've always been told by my coaches as well, been playing through football, never show your full hand. And with that, I've just tried a few things of people out of positions. But Lindisfarne obviously rocked up and they were fantastic. Their run-off half-back was fantastic. And at the stoppages too, they weren't flat-footed. As in then running through the lines and also opening up their forward line to Melinda Green, which is fantastic. Takes some big marks down deep, especially with a lot of pressure on her. Going into it, we're probably changing a few more things over. Unfortunately, we've lost Dusty Featherston to end-of-year trip to New Zealand. So she's over there with the sheep, but fantastically, we've got a lot of players who can go back through the midfield. We've got Kate Dillon back from a bad finger injury, and Emma Kane also joining on to our lineup has been fantastic for us. So we've got people to go into certain people's spots, but we just need to make sure we're focused up and ready for Saturday because anything can happen.
Who are you expecting to stand up then against North Hobart, because they're very fast on top of the ground?
Oh, they're very, very quick. Hopefully there's a bit of rain happening and the drainage isn't as good, so we can slow them down to our speed. But Mia Scott, our captain, she's been fantastic in the midfield or down forward this year. Nick Knack or Nicole Matthews, hopefully she can step up as well. With Alice Hardner as our ruckman, she's been doing hard yards all year too. She's fantastic and has been invited to the association best and fairest. So hopefully she can run through as well. And we're missing out Chantel this week too. Some music festival or whatnot up north. Haven't heard of it, but we're losing her too, unfortunately. But we've got a lot of other players that can take people's spots, which is good. Even though they might be old, but they're still battling through. Like Mum, for instance, and Susie King. They're on the wrong side of 50, but they're going pretty well.
You've obviously had a little bit of a rebuild this year to replace the Scott sisters and Mackie that went to Glenorchy. You've obviously done a pretty good job of doing that with the girls to get as deep into the season as you have and where you finished on the ladder.
Yeah, it's fantastic so Hannah Scott and Bronte Scott obviously been playing good footy with Clarence. Andy Smith's very, very happy with their development and whatnot, and hopefully they do get looked at by a higher team over in the mainland. But it's hard as well. Mackie's obviously playing good football over in Glenorchy too, and it's probably one of the favourites to get the association out over there. And it's fantastic, as in it's all about building the girls playing good football too. So if we've lost them, we can still build up, and we've obviously shown that we have this year, only going down one game in the roster season. But it's opened up other people to play in their spots. So the girls haven't looked backwards, they've always looked forward, which is really, really good with the positivity amongst the group. They don't rely on those players to also get the ball out all the time or whatnot. They actually want to get in there and get it and be the next Hannah Scott or Bronte Scott or Mackie Sutcliffe at the club, which is fantastic.
The club's obviously been growing quite nicely in the South East region, under 17 team this year and an under 11 team with good numbers across both those teams, so future's bright for the club.
Yeah, it's great. Steve Davies, the president, has done a lot of hard work for that. He's made sure everything's happening. Him and his missus Mahalia, they've helped out with the under 11s as well as the under 17s by Sonia Marsh. She's been playing, made them get to the finals, winning one game last year to obviously now making finals and beating the first finals, getting the second one was fantastic for the club, and it's fantastic for the young girls obviously coming up to play seniors and to build next year too. They should be very, very challenging next year.
SFLW best and fairest for the league, mate, on Monday night at the William Leach Medal. Your tip?
My tip, Claire Bear from Lorddale, I reckon. McManus, she's been playing really good football and start of the season, probably the first 5 games, running ragged. Used to run people off their feet, bounces and everything, and that just stood out a lot. If not her, I'd say Dusty will go deep as well as Alice Hardner. They've been playing some really, really good football. Nick Knack will be up there as well, but obviously if you play with a really, really good team, you have people taking votes off you, unfortunately. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter, so to speak, as long as we can win this weekend and get into the final. That's the biggest thing, because individual accolades are good, but team premiership would be even better.
Obviously been a very competitive season. How have you seen SFLW Year 2?
I think it's fantastic. The new clubs coming in with Uni and Lorddale have been great, especially with Hobart as well and New Norfolk. They've been a bit shaky, those two, but saying that, they're still rocked up every single week and put a team on the track. And to do that by losing by big margins, by 100 odd points, it's going to happen. But this year they should hopefully stick together, structure up, and hopefully be more competitive next year. But with this year, it's been fantastic. I love coming to training, I love going to coaching, because the want these girls from every club want to play football brings a bit better for obviously TSL, SFL, or football in Tasmania. It's going to get bigger and better as it goes on. And so in a few years' time, we will match up to teams over in Victoria and whatnot. And Tassie's a little hidey hole for individual talents, as they see Maddie Smith going into the Kangaroos. You never know what's going to happen, but SFLW has been really, really good, especially with the competitiveness.
Thanks, Mark, and good luck for the weekend for the Suns.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
And fans out there of the map, I can guarantee you Lindisfarne for the Premiership in the SFL and Richmond Blues is my pick now they've got Tubes out of the way.